Tanglefoot,
Yes.
you are amazing for a start.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And it's really good to hear and see you from Las Vegas. Is that right? Are you in
Yes,
Las?
I'm in Las Vegas, yes.
Yeah, yeah. That's a small town west of Belfast, I think. It's, no, this
Belfast. Why have I heard of Belfast?
it's
It's
where
the
I come.
States.
It's where I come from in Ireland, in northern. Well, a place called Ireland, I think.
I see.
So, and you're a walk-in. Tell us who you are, my darling.
Yes, I am a walk-in. I have had experiences my whole life, but about a year and a half ago, in October, I went to a conference. At first, I was working at Area 51. My spirit guides had me working at Area 51 there in the diner, kind of like on this sort of mission, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
There was a lot of paranormal, lots of poltergeist activity there. I was there 2 weeks. There was a UFO conference in Cottonwood, Arizona. People like Mary Rodwell was there, John D'Souza, Brad Olson were at this particular conference, and there was an alien abductee. I won't say the person's name just because, even though, okay, well, he held me against my will or the original soul that was here in this body, threatened to take my life, and he basically held me hostage for like a day. And I believe he had some sort of weaponry on him and around him because it was a weird frequency. And I remember it hurting. And I remember yelling at him at one point. I didn't get much sleep.
Now,
And
but it's a bit confusing. This. Let's establish your criteria as you are as a person, why you're
uh-huh,
here, and then we
uh-huh,
can deal with the later experiences in terms of
uh-huh.
what's happening.
All right, sure.
You're a walk-in. What brought you
Yes.
to this sphere, this being, this place? You're a very complex woman.
Yeah. Yes, I come here to raise the vibrations on the planet here, to prepare the Earth for the Ascension process, and to help and assist other worldly beings to go home. I'm a medicine woman. I'm a shaman too, so
Now
assist
that's
them the
important.
spirit.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And so I'm here to assist them in crossing over. They get stuck on the Earth plane, or if there's been trauma, which we know there's been a lot of trauma here on this planet, and they get stuck here. It's not just earthly. It's not just human beings. It's animal spirits and that have cried out, that I hear crying out, and other ETs and things energetically. And so I basically direct them home, or where they're supposed to. Even negative beings, I command them to depart, to leave the space, or
What
what's
what's the
whoosh.
actual crisis? Is there a crisis happening, or is there a clear out happening? What's going on?
I believe it has to do with what's sort of biblical, when it talks about the dead shall rise first in the Revelations. I believe we're fulfilling prophecy right now. And part of my job is to assist in preparing the planet for this ascension by cleansing it, preparing it. Yes, I feel like energetically to assist them home. There is a sense of urgency. I'm not quite sure that I don't get told all the information. They give me instructions, my spirit guides, my galactic family, and I follow through with instructions. But they don't tell me everything at once, only because I think there's too many listeners here. I was watching a program of yours that talked about how they get these beings get into the computers,
Yeah.
and they do because I've that experience I was started to tell you about. I was clearing this person's computer because these things get into computers as well. But
Could you describe that? I mean, your doctor. You've talked some amazing different concepts there. This is and the sense of urgency, but what's what sort of things are you talking about? Could you describe those in detail and the different spirits and things when you're referring to this? There's a lot of information there.
I know it is a lot of information, isn't it? You'll have to forgive me. This is my first interview, really, maybe second, but on this level. And I guess I've been waiting to share some of it. And
You're
not
fantastic. You're doing
right.
really well.
Thank
But I
you.
have to say, you've got a beautiful black dress on.
Thank you.
But the white mug, when you bring it into the middle of the picture, it can affect the picture. So if you want to just use that whenever you want to, yeah,
Sure.
it's just a technical thing. I'm really terrible with technical things. And you're so, but this is very important stuff. The Ascension thing. Have you are aware of a thing called the Omega Point? The Omega Point once every very long period of time. Also, a thing which some people call the ancient story, the old story, the ancient story of our past.
I'm not familiar with the Omega Point. No, I've heard of the Omega Code or the Bible Code, the Torah Code, but not the Omega Point.
Okay, well, it's about what you're talking about now. I mean,
Okay.
all these things got different names.
Sure.
So that's the cleansing. What you're talking about right now is what I'm hearing about. What my people are doing, or not my personal people, but what people I've heard. So explain, relax, and enjoy.
Yes, I'm looking for answers as well, Miles, to be honest with you. I'm having to trigger my memory as well for this ascension. And I believe, at least from my experience with frequency and sound, it's like I'm a drummer too, so it's activated these DNA codes or these light codes within the DNA. It's triggered it, and it's so part of why I was very interested in speaking with you as well, so I can find answers as well for what is taking place. I have some of the keys and I have some of the answers, but I'm having to do research and search through the scriptures, for instance. I do feel that there will be some sort of disclosure. How it's going to happen, I'm not sure. But with the ascension, it's like what my spirit guides have showed me is like preparing the earth like they would, like, let's say, was it Mary Magdalene or Isis? Should we prepare and anoint the bodies with oil, anointing oil? It's like a preparation, of preparing the body, because earth is a conscious being too. And there's so many here too. It's this cleansing process, and that's really all I know to prepare. How it's going to play out, I'm not sure. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do right now and following, listening as much as I can with my inner ears and my eyes, and following through with instructions and waiting for instructions too on what to do next. So I don't have all the answers, but I would like to research what you just mentioned there with this Omega Point. Yes.
I think it's associated with the symbol with the snake eating its tail. Have you
Okay.
seen that symbol?
I have, yes. It's a symbol for eternity,
Yeah,
eternal life or something, yes.
yeah. Uh,
Yes.
I hate using things like that because it may actually I may be completely dead wrong on that, but this is like a spiritual joining. It's like something you do all this wonderful drum music and spiritual things in the desert. I saw I think a couple of days ago. Listen, I am very sorry. You are a birthday girl.
Yes, yes. My birthday was Wednesday. Yes, yes. Thank you.
Well, blessings. So let's say a happy birthday to you. And anyway, there isn't that nice?
Thank you. Yes, we're going out to the desert on tomorrow, in fact, and we build a bonfire, and a bunch of us drummers out here in Las Vegas. We come together and connect and drum and just really, I say galactivate. You know, it really affects your DNA. But we're there to have a good time. But for me, I use it for spiritual purposes.
Well, it's interesting because at a conference in the Open Minds conference in Ireland, we had a drumming session,
Yes.
and you do that.
Yes, I do.
Tell us all about that.
Well, I'll tell you what, about 3 years ago, I was in a cave with my first drum circle out here in Las Vegas. And I knew something was going to happen. I wasn't quite sure. I saw some red ships show up too. They showed up the night before I went to this drum circle. It was New Year's Eve. And told them, because I would listen to Stephen Greer back in the day, and he said they operate on consciousness and you could speak to them. So I said, you come back to those caves on New Year's Eve. They came back. I saw them 2 days in a row, about 6, 7 all red ships. And then I started drumming in a cave, which the caves are the portals to the underworld. And so I started dancing instantly, and I've been dancing at drum circles and drumming ever since. I wasn't always a drummer, but somehow it channels through. And the spirit beings, like a kachina doll, they use my body and I dance, and it's like a prayer and it moves energy. And I'm able to drum. Actually, lately I've been singing too, which is pretty amazing. I set my intent. I said, I want to sing this. So now I'm channeling this singing, which is, I can't really take credit, as I believe it's just coming through my vocal cords as a medium.
I think you can take credit. You can take credit.
I wish it was my voice.
Now it's interesting. I think you meet up at Red Rock.
We do meet up at Red Rock on Sundays, yes, Sacred Sundays. So that's more spiritual. So the one on the Saturdays we're there, we party. Sundays are more, a sacred Sunday. But right there at the Red Rock in Red Rock Canyon, yes, it's called Oak Creek Trail.
Now apparently Red Rock is actually an extraterrestrial, like a meteorite or something, which landed ages ago. Is that correct?
I don't know. There's something very mysterious about that. I have not heard this before, but I would not surprise
because I remember in the good old days when I used to go out there with Ray Wardle way back in late '93. He got video of craft flying at incredible speeds, which would go straight into Red Rock Canyon, straight into the mountain.
Oh, I believe that. I believe that. That's amazing. I had not heard that, but I believe it. I've had pretty paranormal encounters out there myself.
What sort of encounters? And also helicopters coming over and
helicopters. Yes, lots of helicopters were there this past Sunday. They're very low to the ground, right over our circle. There's 2 circles right there that have been there for eons. Well, it's very ancient. I know the shamans used to do ceremonies there. That's what one of the drummers was sharing with us, Richard, that we've been drumming with for some time. But right there, yes, I've seen the helicopters were flying, maybe 5 or 6 of them, right over this circle. And one night I saw some bats outside, and my spirit guide said, bat medicine, animal medicine means to die the shaman's death in the ritualistic manner. And what they would do with the initiates would have their initiates go out to the middle of nowhere, dig their own graves, cover themselves up as an initiation ceremony. So they told me, spend the night in the womb of the earth, like an initiation. So I spent the night out there by myself. And to represent this initiation because of the bat. And because the idea is to die to your old self and the next day be resurrect or to your true identity, because the bat hangs upside down like a baby coming through the womb, and so that's what that represents. So I spent the night by myself, and I laid there, and it was like my galactic family began to speak through my vocal cords. In fact, they were from Egypt. Osiris come through, and it was pretty emotional. He was explaining to me that they were lost, that these spirit beings, he said, because of the graves being desecrated and things like in Egypt and people tampering with grave and things, these souls are lost. They're like, let's go this way. No, let's go this way. No, it's this way. They're literally lost. And he was explaining to me that there were so many of them lost, and they basically need assistance in finding their way out and to keep these, because see, these graves have been desecrated. There's a reason why they don't want them touching, or they put a curse and say, "Do not touch these graves."
Now,
Because
where exactly are these graves? What's been
well,
happening? I mean,
even like in Egypt, let's say, like with King Tut and things, but people go digging for them and they're touching these mummies it's sacred, or these burial grounds and things. And so he was just explaining to me that because of that, many souls, not just this instant, but even people dying a very traumatic death, and not honoring the sacred ways, that these souls would get lost. And so I'm here to assist in helping them find their way home, really, is what he was explaining. But even Las Vegas is very old here too. The Nevada desert in general, just a lot of tribes and things, a lot of slaughters happened out here.
is that why they located Area 51 and all out there? I mean, or was it just?
I'm curious myself. We're so close to Area 51. I'm not sure, but I'm not sure the reasons why. But I feel like Las Vegas, this area is very sacred. It was bought with dirty drug money, but it's like a vortex. I feel it's, they call it the Vegas vortex. I don't know if you know this.
No, I don't know. I mean, I've been to Vegas a good few times, and I'm going to be there for the UFO Mega Conference in a couple of weeks' time at the end of the month.
Oh, you're going to be here?
Yeah, I'm going to be down at Laughlin.
I'll have to come see you. I would love to go there.
It's Bob Brown's resurrecting the International UFO Congress, and he's got a conference there called UFO MegaCon.
Yes, I was hoping to go. Yes, I do remember them. Melanie, Leslie.
Melinda Leslie.
Melinda Leslie, I love her.
Yeah,
Yes.
she's a friend of mine, and
Yes.
we've talked a lot. We've known each other for 20 years. God Almighty.
Is that right? I met her once. That was I believe my first UFO conference was there in Laughlin. That's where I met Dr. Stephen Greer. And there's a place out there called Christmas Tree Pass. And we had CE5 contact, myself, and I think, was it Leslie? I'm not quite sure. Or there was like 15 of us that went up there. We had CE5. They were lighting up all
So what
around.
happened? How did it happen? Did you get any? What happened? What happened? What happened? What happened?
It was my first UFO conference, and we just got through hearing Dr. Stephen Greer, and he was talking about Christmas Tree Pass and how I think he made CE5 contact maybe the night before, something along these lines. So there's a woman there. She said, come on, let's go. There's about 15 of us. We decided to go last minute. Went over there. She started singing. And we kind of started meditating and things, and started telling them to come in, and asking them to come in. The energy vortex that was there was so powerful. It felt like there was rushing waters through there. That's the only way I could describe it. But they, it took maybe about an hour or so, but they just started lighting up like really big lights, turning white, purple, red, and then some would just come down, touch the ground, and disappear. But they were everywhere, all around.
I mean,
us.
were they orbs effectively?
They were like orbs to me. They looked like big, like probably about the ones I saw about this big, but they were really far off. So, but they were really big orbs, and they were lighting around everywhere, different colours, and they would touch, and then they would disappear, but all around us. Right there at Christmas Tree Pass. It's the 1,000-year-old petroglyphs is what it is, right
yes,
there.
Yeah.
Shamans used to go there. There's a thing called the Shaman's Tale. They believe that was the beginning of creation, the Hopi tribes and the Paiute. Yeah, right there.
Have you experienced Jinn, the ancient terrestrial energy beings?
The Jinn, it's interesting. The Jinn, some people say the demons, I'm not quite sure. The Jinn, if they're anything like what some people would call demons, because I grew up a Christian for many years, and I understand that even King Solomon was able to command the demons to build the temple.
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
So we have that authority because Jesus gives us that authority. He says, the works I do, you will do also, and greater works than these you will do, because I go to the Father. And so greater works, he says, I give you authority. So we have the authority. So I believe we can command the demons, or we're supposed to. Otherwise, they'll go running amok. Actually, Brad Olsen wrote a book about this very subject. I'm not sure if you know who Brad Olsen is.
Well, explain, if I was to know something, that's fine, but for your audience, would you be able to let them know what that means, or what the book is and what's involved?
I can't recall the name of the book, but I think it's The Keys of Solomon, or Solomon's Keys, or Secret Keys, but Brad Olsen wrote it. I remember because I got it. I don't know what happened to the book, but King Solomon had a ring that was found, I believe, by a little boy. An angel gave it to him or something. And King Solomon got it, and it has the Star of David, or some people call it the Merkaba, the Seal of Solomon. And he commanded the demons to build the temple for God. He asked each one, what is your name? What is your rank? What do you do? And he got them to submit and to tell him their ranking, and tell him their ranking and what they do. And so you compare this to what Jesus said. Jesus said, someone greater than Solomon is here. So I believe that with our authority, we've all been given this authority to command and to take authority over these demons, if you will. How I do it may be different than how somebody else does it, but I'm able to sense in my energy field if one is around, and I mean, just command them out, if anything. If they're threatening or something, mostly command them to go, to leave.
But do you command them to go to anywhere particular, or do you just to leave as such?
I command them out of my space, but my guardian angels and the ascended masters are present with me. Where they take them, that's not my job. My job is to cleanse. I don't, put judgment. I don't seek judgment. I'm not the one that judges them. I just command them, and they go energetically through. Well, my body becomes like a portal. That's the only way I could describe it. Where they go, I cannot see with my eyes in the 3D, but more like feel. But where they go, I don't know. I just I know that it's not in a place where they're going to cause wreak havoc. That's for sure. Spirit guides and my ancestors are always present with me. Always make sure that I'm covered, and that's their job. They can assist on that part. I'm just a vessel, So.
But you mentioned you brought Christianity into this. How do you feel about the state of Christianity and the religion itself, but also those who purport to to practice it? I mean, there's a lot of controversy about the demonic aspects of the so-called church. Is that something you want to even talk about?
Sure, I would love to, because I left the church for various reasons. They helped a lot, don't get me wrong. They were missing some keys. It's a lot of fear-based, and, I was always told if it's not in the Word of God, if it's not here, it isn't true. Well, I find reincarnation in the Word of God, and I find, I still look for things in the Bible now and line it up with what's taking place, and it's all hidden right there. But the church is missing some keys. They taught a lot to fear. I was told, don't open that book, or you might let a demon in. You might get one in. And then I was saying, well, what about Hosea 4:6? It says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. For lack of knowledge. So I would pray and ask God, Lord, can I open this book? Will you let me read it? Because you said right here that my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. I don't want to be destroyed for what I don't know. So I think the church is missing some keys. They're missing some of the texts. And, one of the things I had a problem with was the women. The women are told to be silent and not supposed to preach.
Well, I absolutely relish your wisdom, my dear. But you mentioned keys. What about the keys of Enoch and the books that were taken out of the Bible? Have you studied those?
Oh yes, I've read the Keys of Enoch, and even J.J. Hurtak's got a powerful book called The Secret Keys of Enoch.
Yes.
Yes, he's
Have
right.
you met J.J. Hurtak? He's
I did one time. Yes, I got a picture with him, but yes, and he and his wife just once briefly.
yeah,
Yes.
he's appeared here in England a few times. I met him last year at Avebury.
Is that
Yeah. So yeah. Am I doing this? No, I'm not. Do so. I'm at my control panel. Yeah, it's very interesting that you mentioned that. You're very wise, my dear. And I don't like calling you my dear, as I don't want to be patronizing on this, but this is great spiritual wisdom you're talking here.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to be heard.
Well, I
Yeah,
want to hear. I want to hear more. Tell us more of this spiritual path, and what's going on. I mean, why the urgency? Why is there urgency?
urgency. Why the urgency? I feel like things have been. People waking up they're not waking up fast enough, and I don't know. I feel like it's spiritual warfare. That's one thing that I believe is taking place. Is spiritual warfare like Star Wars. It's a timeline war too. I feel like I don't know. There's just a sense of urgency that burns within.
Explain that. I mean, this is very important what you're talking about here.
Okay, I just feel a sense of urgency like I have to do. My mission is the most important thing to me on this planet, and I don't know if it's just me that feels a sense of urgency or we've got to do something in time, but there's so much work that has to be done, and I'm not quite sure why. I'm still trying to remember. I believe it does have to do with some of the prophecies too, even in Revelations.
Explain. I mean, this is. I mean, I completely. I'm aware of the timeline collapses. There are timelines being collapsed, so that
Mhm.
these spiritual enemies that have caused so much havoc with us
Yes.
as human beings, and the idea is to clear that from us, and then we can be the true 12 dimensional spiritual beings that we really are. If we can find our true origins in from the ancient, the old story, the ancient times.
Yes, yes, exactly. I just get pieces of information. I feel like I don't know why the sense of urgency, other than we've got to get it right this time. No playing games. We
Yeah.
can't fuck
Okay.
ourselves. This is
We're
it.
on to something. What do we have to get right? What's the involvement? This is your
What we
key
do
time.
right now, what we do right now affects the future. So if we change our behavior patterns, if we change the way we think, the way we behave, even our actions on this planet, that's going to affect everything in the future. What our actions do, what we do right now, right now. So
And
we've got to,
what are the do's and don'ts? What are we to do right now? This is key.
well, what we ought to do is to gain knowledge and answers and to ask for confirmation, even if people are, because deception, let's be honest, deception is very cunning, and there are many wolves in sheep's clothing, and even, you know, in the spiritual community, forgive me, but even in the spiritual community, and it is hard if we ask for a spirit of discernment, to ask and discern what is truth and what is fiction. People don't trust anymore, and rightfully so. But
Explain that. You're really onto something here. Explain that, please.
people don't trust anymore. They've lost all faith and confidence, rightfully so. And but something energetically has taken place as well. People become very angry. But the point of it is, and people are waiting for a president or something to come save us. And people don't understand. They've forgotten their power. They've forgotten who they are. And they've forgotten how to take authority and their power back and make decisions, not have somebody wait, don't wait and have somebody tell you how to do it, what to do, how to think, what to do. You know what to do. People have operated in fear, and fear is the opposite of love. Perfect love casts out fear. And so I'm able to do what I do in the spirit realm because I do it from a place of love. If you can't hear or see, if somebody is, maybe passed on, maybe a relative or something, and people, if they can't be heard, and some people can hear them on a different frequency, they don't just walk over the body. So I come from a place of love and do it because I love that person. But people have become so afraid, and I believe it's because of the social engineering too. Like 9/11. It's or even this attack here in Las Vegas with this shooter. There's people are looking over the shoulder, wondering, where the boogeyman is.
And what about that? What do you feel that was all about? Was it the false flag, or what's your feeling on that?
I feel it was a false flag. I feel it was intentionally done as a social engineering. What is it called? Social experiment. Social, like 9/11. I feel like it was to create panic. The whole world is focused on this person. I mean, there was only one gun, one shooter. I don't think so. How many people were shot? It just doesn't add up. And I feel like it's to create a sense of fear. And then also, we got TSA, next thing, people are willing to trade their freedom or their rights for security. They've even done a poll.
What's the TSA?
What's that?
What is that? What's TSA?
The TSA, when you go to the airport and you have to take off your belt, you take off your shoes, they make you take off everything at the airport, searching through your bags and things. You can't carry water. It's going through these, what are they called? I opt out, these machines where they look to check and see if you've got...
They've actually switched those off in Europe. People are getting so sick. I think in Europe they've switched them off.
Is that right? I did not know that. The naked body scanners, that's right. Yeah. That's what they were called. People are willing just to do. I opt out. I won't let them do that. I just let them pat me down, which is even awkward too. But yeah, I do feel like people are afraid. They're just constantly in a state of fear, and it's and what happens, like with these mind control victims, they use trauma to split or fracture the psyche. And so, like, let's say 9/11 or this incident that happened here, when people are traumatized, you can control them better too. So they keep playing the tape over and over again, terrorist, and panic. So with mind control, they split the psyche, and then it compartmentalizes, and people are kind of not really present, are they? They're just kind of in a daze, kind of, from trauma. But I believe it's by design, because
are you able to, do people come to you for help on that?
For trauma?
Yeah.
Actually, I just got my website up. I do work with, and would like to work more with people that have had traumatic circumstances in their life. Past life trauma is what I deal with, and breaking curses, generational curses, and spells, and breaking contracts. Really, everything's about contracts.
Well, first of all, tell us what your website is.
Okay.
And could you describe what each one of those particular services or ailments or complaints are? I mean, what sort of contracts are you dealing with? Explain each one of those. It's very fascinating what you're doing.
Okay, thank you. So my website is Tanglefoot, so my accent, TanglefootThunder.com. A paranormal paramedic. A paranormal paramedic, I guess I could. But so some of the things I offer, I've had people come to me who have had magical spells cast against them. I had a woman come to me and her boyfriend that she said her ex-boyfriend used blood in a satanic ritual, and she had sex magic or something against her. As she could tell, there was a difference. She could tell something was there. Let's just say these.
What exactly do you mean by sex magic and the use of the blood? I have to say that you've got a bit of a mix of a Manchester accent and an American accent.
Is that
I
right?
think as if you spend some time in the north of England somewhere, no?
I've never been. That's what's fascinating is I've never been to England in my life, not in this incarnation. But I was born in Texas, and I came into the body in October, and I have this accent ever since. So yeah.
Okay, getting back to these sex
Yes.
magic. Are these curses or spells to
Yes.
make somebody love you or to hate somebody? What's involved there
He
exactly?
cast a spell against this woman to. It had something to do with sex. That's all I know. But he used the period, some blood from his ex-girlfriend's period or something, uh, and he cast it against her. She could tell that she didn't want to have sex, or it was something to do sexually. She wasn't. She could tell it affected her, and so demons are legalistic, and that's why contracts or everything, our words are, they would call it spelling for no reason. They're spells, so we must be careful with what we speak and how we think. And so demons are very legalistic. So we have to break these contracts, whether it was intentionally, unintentionally, knowingly, or unknowingly, to break every contract, right? That was not serve us, that was made subconsciously as well, or unintentionally. And so what happens is sometimes people will agree. Let's say somebody says, "Oh, you're no good" or something, or "You're worthlessness." Let's say you're worthless. That person starts saying, "Oh, I'm worthless," and agreeing with lies, even though it's a lie. The demon's not the demon's fault. You agree with the lie. That gives them legal right to be there. A demon of worthlessness, or hopelessness, or suicide, or a spirit of death, or something. So if people would start breaking these contracts, and that's what I help them with, is breaking these soul contracts or soul ties that have been made in agreement, but is a lie, and help them to agree with the truth, and we break them off, and then the demon must go. They has to leave. It has no right. Otherwise, it'd be trespassing. They cannot trespass. So it's anything in contract, like if you go to court. Silence is consent. You right? You say objection. I object. Same thing in the spirit realm, and they're very aware of these. It's not their fault. So we have to take responsibility for ourselves. We can't wait for somebody else to do it. So there has to be an agreement made. But people need to remember this and aware. I know that my ignorance, which means ignorance is darkness, it's gotten me into trouble in the past. That's why I've worked very hard to read and get as much information like from you, people like yourself, and whistleblowers, and just gather information so I'm don't get in any trouble because of my ignorance. Yeah. So
You're beginning to slide a wee bit off to your left. Could you
yes.
slide a little bit off to your right? That's great. So is that a tail you've got there?
Oh, it's my foxtail. Yeah.
Are you wearing a tail with a white thing?
I'm wearing a tail. Thank you for the sage.
Okay, we got it. The spiral arms right there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. You brought me some sage. Blessings. That smells really good. So my foxtail is, I use a lot to people. Okay, first of all, I like to say, because people that are vegans and things, they don't go kill the animals, especially my friend there, Thea. He gets freaked out because I've got animal skins and things. But he loves animals. I love animals too. You don't go kill the animal for its parts. But what happens is they allow you to use the spirit. And then the person, like myself, is able to use the animal spirits and take on aspects of the animal, and then let me borrow it to do my energy work. Is for protection,
Now
like
that's a concept very important. Could you go a lot further in that and about that, because the animals are there to help us. It's part of their. I mean, I was amazed as I watched a very lovely little bee basically fly right up into the window, and it searched. It was as if it was searching to find what it was then going to give itself to is a spider. So
Yes.
it actually seemed to search to the place very carefully, and then it went straight into the spider's web, and the spider came straight out and dispatched it. And I felt that this little bee was actually, it had some kind of agreement to do that. This was being delivered. It was delivering itself to the spider.
Yes, I believe that very much. I believe you're right. See, the white buffalo, the buffalo used to lay the life down for the hunter. The hunter, they didn't have to hunt for the buffalo. They would lay the life down. They would sacrifice for us to feed us. That's how connected we were with the animals. That's how, because we honor them, we kept them as sacred, we love them, we bless them, we bless our food, we thank them for the parts that they give us, to clothe us, to make shoes, keep us warm at night, feed us. And people forgot even this aspect, how to thank the animal for giving its life so we can stay alive. They used to lay the life down for the hunter. And so we've got to return to these sacred ways too. And yes, the animals are being slaughtered. And I have been in the grocery store where I heard my spirit guides say, they said, become water. So I stopped for a moment and I imagined becoming water, and I could feel the animals, and I heard them because they speak through my vocal cords too. I'm a medium, a channel. They use my vocal cords, and it was like, I could hear the slaughter, and then I heard, help us from the animals. Being in the grocery store, they're being slaughtered and treated horrifically, and they have souls, and people forgot. And that is one thing that I wish I could do more for these animals. They're people so cruel anymore. But I just want people to know, if I have an animal skin, it's not in any disrespect. They let me use the animal spirit, the medicine. It's for protection, and it is a very sacred thing to me. Would never go kill an animal just for its parts. Sometimes they die naturally, and they'll come. You might find them on the side of the road, like an owl or something, and use its wings, to smudge and things,
So is there anything that ordinary folk can do with that? I mean, I think when you deal with vegans and things, they're basically opting out. Rather than, are they opting out as opposed to taking responsibility? Because we're collectively responsible.
We are collectively responsible, right? I don't know. I guess it's a choice. There are so many different reasons not to eat meat. I've struggled with it. I don't eat as much meat, but I do bless my food. And there are times where I run my hand over the food, and I can actually pull energies out of my food by running my hand over it energetically.
You mean toxic energies that are?
Yeah, you can feel that, or if it's trauma or something, I could feel it from my hand, and I'll clear it and things, and then I bless my food. But they do put so many chemicals. I just believe we have the power to transmute the energy.
Yes.
I do believe that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes, 100%. It's all up here. Abracadabra means in Hebrew, I create as I speak. I create as I speak. Abracadabra. That's what. Our words are very powerful. We could just use them effectively.
Do you have a relationship with the Native Americans and the Native American? Is that how you call them? The Native Americans.
Oh,
with their spirit guides and the guides of the deserts.
Oh yes. Oh yes, I feel a very, very strong connection to them. In fact, I believe remembering who I am, there's so many different aspects. Well, multi-dimensional, yes, but I feel very connected to all the tribes really, but Lakota, Hopi, and Aborigine tribes. I'm just going through this remembering like everyone else. And so there's a prophecy called the Rainbow Warriors prophecy, or the return of the white buffalo calf woman. And there is a prophecy. It's very special, and it says that she's going to return one day. And there's a white buffalo calf woman, but that man would have a choice, humanity, and there'd be a path that would lead to destruction. Let's see, it would be one path would lead to greed, technology, and the path to destruction. The other one we would have a choice would be spirituality, and we would heal the land and it would become green again. So that's probably why it's so important for what we do right here, right now, our choices, because we have a right to choose. We are responsible to choose, and we can choose the path that leads to spirituality, so we can heal the land and it become green again, instead of the path swift.
How do we do that? Because this is something which I'm very conscious of: healing the land, reseeding the oceans.
Yes, yes. You know, where would we start? You know, for me, sound, you know, who Nikola Tesla is, right? And he talks about, what does he say? What is his quote? To understand the universe is to understand frequency and vibration. Something like this, right? I think that's one of his quotes, if I'm not mistaken. I'm paraphrasing. So what I do with the drums is use the sound, the frequency of the drums. It's a very ancient sound, you know.
Now, what type of drums? And I do hope you're going to send me some nice video of you drumming. It's fantastic when you do
Thank
that.
you so much. Absolutely, I'd love to. So we use djembes. I love the bass drum personally.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm thinking of. The frequencies, different frequencies and rhythms of the drums.
Yes,
Is
yes.
it different? Does it have to be different? How do you tune in to get into the whatever rhythm you're dealing?
I think it's different for everybody. Me personally, I like the bass drum because it's so deep. It represents the heartbeat of the earth for me. The drums are the heartbeat of the earth. That's what it represents. We all have a heartbeat, yes. And so usually when we drum, I guess it's a personal choice for each person, and for what sound they're going to use. My mate here, my friend, he usually plays a sitar. The sitar is a very ancient Indian Hindu sound. But it's a personal choice of what sound, but to use vibration, there's a man named Benny Blue Thunder. He was actually able to put a volcano to sleep with the sound of the drums. He put Yellowstone volcano to sleep in 2004 with the sound of the drums. So it will assist with the rhythmic clock on the earth. That's how I do my energy work. I think people, it's not just, I'm not saying that's the only way, but that's one way, is for sound and vibration, because, and it's a very ancient teaching. Not saying that's the only way, but orgonite, you know, I saw something with orgonite that she had the other day. You know, these kind of frequencies to raise the vibration.
What type of organ? I can't say orgonite. It's been copyrighted.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
right?
somebody's copyrighted orgonite. You can't say it. They'll object. You wouldn't believe it. Yeah, it's copyrighted. You can't use it. I know. I'm saying that because somebody was selling orgonite and they got a note saying you can't use it because so and so owns the name.
Unbelievable. I've heard people that with their own names, copyright their own names too. But okay, or what is it? Organ? What is it? How do I say
Organ
it?
energy, organ. Although I think Mike Emery calls it organic. Organic. Not let's put an A instead of the O. Organic. Easy to say, you know. Oh Jesus, yeah.
I don't know much about the organ. I do know that, or excuse me, cancel, clear. The organ. And,
have you made what we call an organ bubble yet?
No, I have not. How do you do that?
Well, it uses instead of using small particles of metal, but as a lot of the organ stuff has, you can use cement with iron oxide, and effectively you're making concrete with iron in it. And you can put crystals in it, and you put one copper pipe. That's all you need, and then you can energize it with ultraviolet, infrared, and those healing wands, the little neon tubes that people get to sort of help them.
Yes, yes, yes.
And you can use that to put the electrical energy into it, and then use your intention to energize the organic bubble. And
Yeah. Wow,
you get rid
that's
of
powerful.
yeah.
I love copper. Copper's great. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you're going to be able to send us a little bit of video of all the ceremonies and things you do, because you do some fantastic work on Facebook.
Thank
You're
you.
on there
Thank
all the
you.
time, and you're having meetings and all sorts. Do you want to talk about that briefly,
Yes.
and then you know, of all the sort of work you do out in the desert? And
Oh,
haven't you got a Mustang?
do I have a Mustang?
I thought is that your black Mustang?
No, I don't have a black Mustang.
Oh, I thought you were driving a black Mustang.
No, I wish. I would love to drive a black Mustang. No, not me. No, I don't have one. But we go out now that it's springtime. Every second Saturday of the month, we go out to the dry lake bed and we drum, and we have drum circles. On Sundays, we go out to Oak Creek Trail at the Red Rock and we drum. And it's a beautiful gem that people think of Las Vegas. They think of, you know, the strip and everything and gambling, but they're missing some beautiful parts of Las Vegas and real treats. And we come together, we drum. And some of my work, yes, I do use the drums and my energy work too. I do cleanse houses. It's like an exorcism, if you will.
Yeah, I have a very close friend in Holland who does that, cleaning houses and things.
Who does this? I'm sorry.
Yeah, my friend, she's called Miriam Jansa.
Is that right?
It's spelled Merjam, but
Okay.
it's the Dutch spelling.
Okay.
She does all that kind of work.
Yes, that's exactly what I do. And so not enough people know what I do, but it's in my DNA, it's in my blueprints, and sometimes I need assistance from one of my mates. The name is Ten Hands. He plays the drums, and because the drums will call in for spirits to assist me. So I do, it's a full-blown exorcism, really. Just people have, you know, ghosts that linger around, or maybe some negative entities or something, and I'm able to go in there and assist with the house cleansings.
And how does that work? Where do you send them? How does it stay clean? I mean, how does it last?
I'm not sure how it stays clean. I don't know. I just know they go where, well, because I have assistance from my animal spirits, I have assistance from the Ascended Masters and the Archangels, and they are present when I'm taking care of business. And because I can't do it by myself, you know, the nature spirits assist me. I'm armed, and so I just become a vessel. And what happens is, I take on. Have you ever seen the movie Green Mile?
I may have, but for those who haven't, explain it.
There's a movie called Green Mile, and there was a man that would take the person's energy away, like a sin eater. So he'd take their not trauma, he would take on their hurt or their pain and transmute it. He would heal them, and he would take it on. That's what I do. I take it on. It transmutes through my body, and so I may purge for the person. You know, if somebody's having an exorcism or something, but you know, my purge for them might come out through screaming, crying, things like this. As an empath, I'm what's called a Heyoka empath as well. So I'm able to do that, transmute the energy, and that's what he does in Green Mile. He just is able to heal people. He just takes it on and transmutes it, and that's what I'm able to do within the body and within the home. And I just go as I'm led by spirit. Of course, I have my sage. I use instruments too. It might be a rattle. I use my rattle a lot.
Why would you use the rattle? What's the technique in that? Is it just to produce a random sound? Is it, or what?
The rattle is very ancient. It's the sound is a very irritating sound, and it commands, it causes the spirit of the demon to pay attention and letting it know that it's time to go. So the charms, and it's causing it. It's a very irritating sound. They don't like it. Even the bell, I use a bell sometimes, a chime or something.
Well, I would call that scientifically generating a multi-frequency scalar interference pattern, which is what the orgon stuff does.
Okay, I might have to use that as well in some of my work. That might be wise. But I just know my body becomes like a portal. Wherever they're led, you know, there are beings there ready to guide them and take them where they need to go. That's my job, is removing them, you know. I don't guide them to the next, you know, destination, if you will. That's not my job.
Well, you've been absolutely fantastic.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
I mean, if people want to get in contact with you, you're on Facebook. How do people contact you if you wish, and what would they need to do?
Course. Tanglefoot.thunder.com, or you can contact me at Facebook, Tanglefoot Sisk, S-I-S-K is my last name. So I just created a YouTube account, got one video up, but would like to add more so people know what I do.
Well, when I get this edited, you can have this as well.
Thank you so much. It's going to be amazing. I appreciate.
And I know we had quite a problem just getting this started. You're like your backup number 2 Skype machine, so yes. It's absolutely sensational. Great thanks for your colleague who's helped you this evening.
Yes,
and you've got an amazing array of crystals and all sorts of things behind you. That's all looks amazing.
This is Théo de May. I don't know if you could see this sculpture.
No, we can't.
Huh?
We can just see just immediately behind your head, but it's.
He makes some amazing sculptures. He's a beautiful artist. All of this stuff is his. He's got the bells here too, and he collects all kinds of amazing pieces. He'll take stuff and create just amazing art. So this is his place. I thought it would be a beautiful display.
It is a beautiful display, and thank you so much. It's been an absolutely wonderful time. You are amazing. You've got an amazing dress on, outfit. You're wonderful. And I'm glad we got everything working. In the
Me too. I appreciate it. You're such a blessing.
Well, thank you.
Need some sleep. Yes.
And it's good to see you later on Facebook and things.
Yes,
and blessings.
Blessings to you. Get some sleep, sweetheart.
Yeah, okay.
It's late over there, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's about 10:30. Or it's 11 o'clock.
All right.
Okay, good night.
Good night. Blessings.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.